Hello, everyone. What is good? Welcome back to another episode of the Pixelated Echoes. This episode 44, I think. So we're getting up there. I think how I want to do it because I was debating on like this is season one of PXE, right? So what I want to do with each season eventually is we have like different intros. So me and Fuzzy right now, Fuzzy's driving the car, I'm slaying some zombies and things like that. So maybe next season we're doing something different. Maybe Fuzzy he's driving a spaceship, and then I'm hanging on the back and I'm just like slaying aliens and spaceship. I don't know. I gotta figure out what we should do for season two. So either episode by episode 50, that'll be season one, or if I'm like, listen, I don't got the time to start doing stuff for season one, then yeah, then maybe it'll be like 100 or something. 100 episodes per season or something like that. But I'm your host, 3-Bit, y'all. And if you're tuning in live, be sure to drop a what's up in the chat. Y'all know I will see you. We always interact with you guys throughout the show, so appreciate everybody. If you're watching the replay or listening on audio, big love to you guys. Hit that subscribe, tap the notification bell, and as always, we appreciate everyone dropping in, chilling in the chat with us each and every week. It's never expected, but it's always appreciated. So appreciate you all. We got some sizable topics this week to kind of get into. Got Ghosts of Yutei, we got some Forza news, we got multiple Fallout projects. We're going to talk about that. So stay tuned. But before we get into all that, gotta go to the man with the drift, the in real life Felix the Cat, the fuzzy face of racing content. My co-host, the Fuzzy Belvedere. How you feeling today, man? And what have you been playing? What have you been up to?
Oh, I'm feeling great. Glad to be here with you once again. Yeah, just enjoying gaming. Been playing my normal Forza Horizon 5, which I'm sure we'll get into some more, but a little bit of Undisputed. They've added like a couple of boxers recently. I still feel it was better in preview, but I think some of that might have been due to the mechanics they had to do for console and stuff, but hopefully they continue to, do updates and fixes and things like that. But still enjoying it. Really hoping EA bites at the bit to make a fight night at some point. But until then, this will definitely hold its own. But haven't touched Division 2 in like a week, so I need to hop back into that. But I've been between me and the wife, we've been focusing on the next house, which is probably 2 years out, going for a custom build. And instead of playing Sims like the way it's supposed to be, I'm playing Sims to do architectural stuff for ideas
Nice, yeah.
because we're trying to come down to like a couple of design aspects. And apparently, I keep on downsizing the kitchen, and my wife keeps on complaining that I'm making the kitchen too small. I'm like, we don't need like 5 blocks of counter space. And she's like, well, we got the crock pot and the coffee, Keurig and all that stuff. And it's like, I need room to chop the vegetables. It's like, yeah. So just doing a whole bunch of stuff in Sims, just making floor plans and things like that, because I do not feel like spending hundreds, if not thousands of
So
dollars
smart to do in
on,
Sims. That's funny.
yeah, because some of that software out there is like ridiculously expensive. It's like, oh, well, if you're an architect, well, maybe I could have been an architect, but yeah, I'm not spending architect money on it just yet. I
Yep.
can, figure out a plan. Then we go to the architect, and then we can pay them for their services. But yeah, I don't want to buy the software and then have to still go to the architect after spending thousands of dollars on the software. But
Right.
other than that, just relaxing, like with the wife having the summer off, being a teacher and stuff like that. Just it's so nice to be able to relax, watch a movie, go shopping, which had to replace her laptop
Mm.
because apparently her Dell from like I guess it's 2 years old now, give or take, decided to quit on me. And instead of paying hundreds of dollars to fix it and not have a guarantee, she has her own Surface now. So
Mm.
Microsoft got me again. So
Yep. They
it
got
is
your
what it
money.
is.
They got PlayStation's people's money as well, which we'll get in. It's a good segue.
True.
A good segue. But I got to say what I've been up to as
Yeah.
well. I've been playing a lot of games this week. It's interesting because the Monday through Friday I was going hard, just working. A lot of different projects I've been up to, and then I was like on Friday I was like I'm gonna work pretty hard on Friday, but Saturday and Sunday I'm just gonna be playing games and stuff like that. So I played a lot of Phasmophobia last night for the first time. So I had a group of some peeps there, like, here, come play Phasmophobia with us. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll check it out. And I will say that the game is a lot of fun. I don't know if you guys have played Phasmophobia in the chat, but it's fun. It is very puzzly, and if you skip the tutorial, you are going to be lost, which I was. I was like, what the heck is going on? But basically it got fun for me once I figured out kind of what was happening. Because all the missions start off like you're in a truck, you get equipment, and you're trying to figure out what type of ghosts you're looking for with a bunch of friends. So some fun stuff, some crazy scares for sure. You can actually talk to the ghosts if you guys don't know. Like in the game chat, you can ask the ghosts questions if you have like a special radio.
Mhm.
There's also a Ouija board, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, and on the Ouija board, you can ask the ghost questions, and it will slide to whatever you ask it. It's limited. Like some people was saying some crazy stuff, and of course the ghost is not gonna not gonna answer that. But it is cool. I haven't seen that in a game before, where you're in a multiplayer game and you can ask a ghost a question, and then it actually will respond to you. So super cool tech in there. I don't know if I've seen that in a game. I've been playing Rematch quite a bit,
Mm.
like almost every day now. It's just like once I finish work, a little bit of Rematch, go back to work, and then it's like my comfort game right now. So I'm now ranked 50.
Oh
I think
wow.
from I don't remember from the last show. It's probably like 20 something like that. So I that's how it shows you how much I've been playing Rematch. That game is addicting to me. It's just like I used to play games very competitively, so
Mhm.
it's kind of itching that thing again. I forgot I had for a moment. Like I used to be very competitive and very strategic kind of a player.
Mhm.
But for a while, I just been playing like ease games, coffee talk and things like that. And I love those games as well. But it's been nice to get back into the competitive side of things. So those two games, and me and the wifey have been playing Minecraft. So the
Nice.
most casual game you can get out there. Me and the wifey have been playing that. Um, and on side note, for what you said, Fuzzy, like my wife is an interior designer, so just putting
Oh,
that out there.
nice.
So that's what she does on the side. So if you need something, I'm just saying, just putting it out there that she
Oh
can do
yeah.
some cool stuff. But everybody in the chat, hello, welcome. I'm gonna have a fiery first topic, and appreciate everybody for dropping on in. We had Web Dave kind of jump on it and says, please hit that like button. I know how does I guess I do it too. Like watch a show while your show is happening because I'm pretty sure his show is happening right now. But
Yeah.
I have like show notes. I have like a million different screens that I flip to where we have videos playing and make sure our face doesn't go off the screen and do some crazy stuff. So props to you, you dropping in here during your show saying the like button. Appreciate you, Web Dave. We got Soul Tech dropping on in, Negative Zero, Talos Ray saying hello, 3-Bit Fuzzy in chat. Poison Maniac, of course, dropping on in, and then Nisa Hauer. So thank you guys so much for dropping in each and every show. I see you guys. I think I've seen most of you guys in the last episode, which did really well. So appreciate and let's get into this first topic, Fuzz. Let me transition over on to the Forza. So what's going on? What we got?
Well, I guess a little bit of news came out recently, and sad days with the layoffs and everything. That's kind of old news at the moment. So moving past that, one of the people that was involved in that, in redoing their resume and their LinkedIn and stuff like that, made some notes on their profile. I guess to put towards their resume for a future position and stuff. But Push Square picked up the story, and it's showing that Xbox Forza Horizon 5 sold an outrageous 2 million copies on PS5 in a month. 2 million copies in a month. So, yeah, it was pretty much a kind of an expected thing that it was going to do well, but I guess the guys at Push Square didn't think it was going to even be that well of a sale. Although, if people remember, I think there were 2 million active players that either did the early access or bought the deluxe edition. So, but
Oh
that
yeah.
was in the
Hmm.
first day. But this game has been doing well on Xbox and PC for some time, and considering that there are probably a lot of driving fans that kind of miss out on an arcade racer on PlayStation, yeah, they were definitely looking forward to this. But the game, which has been consistently near the global sales chart or the top of the global sales chart ever since it's been deployed on Sony's system, is said to have shifted 2 million copies in the first month on the market.
Ooh.
The statistic, I can't even talk today. The statistic comes courtesy of Turn 10 game and level designer Harrison Boland, who was unfortunately struck by the Microsoft recent round of layoffs,
Mm.
which, just made mention of. In his resume, he notes the following as first spotted by Reset Era. He created a cross-platform feature designs and enable Forza Horizon 5 to sell 2 million copy or 2 million units in a month on PS5 alone. That's that's pretty outstanding. Like, just for the fact that a lot of people were saying, well, it's a 4-year-old game. How well could it do over there? And we saw a lot of the pre-orders and stuff like that when Sea of Thieves went over there. To hear this info from somebody that worked on the game, unfortunately, wound up being one of those cuts. But with that being said, to move that many units on that game, somebody definitely did their research when they looked at which Xbox titles to port over, and that one definitely struck a chord. And considering I'm a Forza Horizon fan, I got probably a few thousand hours in the game already. Um, it, I'm kind of glad they put it. Well, I'm glad they put it over there for more people to get to play it. But the only thing I'm a little disappointed in the porting of it is that there's no cross progression, which would have been
Mm.
nice because
Yeah.
I don't want to have to recollect the 900 cars that I have now. But all things considered, for the most part, for those that are new to it, I wish there was a lot more or an easier way to have like the PlayStation bubble or something like that show up above their cars. Although I'm not sure if they do full on crossplay. Like I'm under, excuse me, the impression that PS5 can play with other PS5 players as well as PC players,
Okay.
but I don't know if they can play with Xbox players, and that's the the one thing
Oh,
that would
interesting.
be an added bonus if they open that up completely. Because I know our cross play for Xbox is mainly with PC and stuff. So,
I wonder if
but
Sony was blocking that or something because I remember a while ago there was a lot of articles where Sony is like blocking that from happening for several games. But
yeah, they're going to have to open it up here soon, especially considering with Helldivers 2 coming over.
yeah.
I think they'll see that whatever toxic behavior they're afraid of will work itself out, much like it does in Call of Duty or any other major multiplayer type of game. But I think in the grand scheme of things, it would probably bode better for their fans in the sense that that will be their new console war, and that'll be where they can convince more of their friends on that platform to, hop into that game type of deal. But considering how fast that sold, what are your thoughts as far as like with all the hoopla that was behind it going over? What do you think of the that fast blast of sales within a short period of time?
It's like, well, well, well. It's just so funny to me for just get a little messy. For years, PlayStation fans talk about how these games were trash, saying Xbox games were mid, the Game Pass was fodder pass, rental pass, and how nobody would ever want these games. Yet here we are, month after month, seeing these Xbox games charting at the top on PlayStation, like several times. And I think Horizon, even in April, I think it was like one of the top selling games on the platform. So to me, it gets into the bigger conversation about like perception versus reality. People still acting like Sony is the only place with quality, and then Xbox is some tiny side studio. But in reality, Xbox is the biggest publisher in gaming right now. That's the reality of it. They are really out here kind of Trojan horsing their way into other ecosystems, and
Hmm.
clearly it's working. And despite these games being on Game Pass for years, which is the most fascinating thing for me, they're still selling, right? Like there
Yeah.
was a narrative that Game Pass kills sales, and that's just not holding up. People are buying these games because they want to play where they are comfortable. And some folks are Xbox diehards. You have other people who are like PlayStation loyalists, and that's fine. But let's not act like Xbox games aren't in demand anymore. And if you kind of look at where Sony is right now, like their first party lineup has been really dry. And Sony even coming out here saying like they're gonna have like one big first party title each year. And I'm just like this is where Sony is right now. And meanwhile Xbox is lined up with like a huge catalog just comparatively. But now Xbox is putting games on other platforms. This is where we are.
Hmm.
We're in this multi-platform bubble now. I don't know how much that narrative is going to shift or if it's just going to be buried of people saying for years that these games weren't quality, that it sucks, and blah blah blah, and then secretly they're just playing it on the side. Maybe there will be no conversation. People just play it. It'll always be at the top, and then it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. Um, I think it's awesome though. I think that a lot of people who wanted to play these games now have access to these games, and I'm the same way. Like there's certain games that are on PS5 that I was interested in playing.
Hmm.
Um, that's just not my ecosystem. That's not the platform I prefer to play on, just personally. And but once it comes to Xbox, I'm like, okay, sure, yeah, I'll check it out. Everyone
Hmm.
has their preferred platform. Some people love playing on PC. Some people love playing on Xbox, and some people are just on the Switch, right? And I think Xbox is going after those people who traditionally are so comfortable in their own ecosystem that when a game like this like finally appears on their platform, they're like, "Oh, finally! Like I'll try it out." And it does like I think it's easy for us to get in this perception bubble of just like of the toxic fanboys on Sony and
Yeah.
stuff saying like this sucks or whatever. The reality is a lot of casuals aren't really on Twitter arguing all day about console wars shenanigans. They're just like they're play the game in silence and they love the game in silence. That's typically how a lot of reviews kind of work for certain things as well. If you like really love something, sometimes you'll love it in silence and then you won't say anything. You're just like, oh, that was great. You just tell your friends. Maybe it's like a word of mouth situation. But I think it's pretty cool. I think it does surprise me that it's hit the 2 million goal that fast. Especially with like how older the game is, et cetera, et cetera. Um, but it just goes to show you a lot of people are fiending for this type of game, and I do wonder there are certain games on an Xbox that when it went to PS5 has been doing really well. As we've
Hmm.
seen, it keeps topping the charts. So I do wonder what games, when they do move it over, does extremely well, and some games are like, eh. Because I know Pentiment was one of them. Like Xbox, when it went to Pentiment for, was it just PS5 or?
Yeah. that one may have gone to Switch as well, because I know that there
Okay.
was one that went to Switch, but it wasn't Hi-Fi Rush because I guess it was too powerful for the Switch.
Yeah.
And I don't think Grounded went.
You have to check
Uh,
Grounded as well.
yeah, I don't think Grounded went over to the Switch just yet. I know they're getting. Well, I don't know. I think they're getting Grounded too for Switch too, but
Okay. Well, like I remember like Forza is selling really well. There's Indiana Jones, I think, did pretty sizable on PS5, and that did
yeah,
well. Pentiment, that's a smaller game, anyways. It was like, I'm not expecting that to do Call of Duty numbers or anything. But it's like a good experiment for them. Like which games, because initially when they came out, like, oh, it's only gonna be 3 games, right? Out of those 3 games, Hi-Fi Rush didn't do super well that I know of. Like it did okay,
yeah,
um, but Sea of Thieves did numbers. Like Sea of
yeah.
Thieves was like killing it. So they're gonna keep doing this, folks. They're gonna keep putting games on other platforms. Like people just get used to it. I'm pretty much used to it at this point. If you watch from episode 2 of Pixelated Echoes to now, like I'm it's whatever to me
Yeah.
at this point. It's all about value proposition, and where I find comfort and all that. But overall, like, do you think that maybe this could mean, with like another Forza Horizon possibly coming in the future? I know that there was layoffs, so that makes this like conversation a little complicated. But do you think
Yeah.
that the good amount of sales for Horizon could mean like Forza is kind of cemented in the future? Or what do you think?
I I do think it will be if and this is kind of a timing thing because sometimes Xbox does unexpected things. Like while there are other titles that will probably do wildly successful numbers over there as well, it seems like they're dragging their feet for some of them, and some of it understandably. But I I'm wondering if Forza Horizon 6, let's just say, if it's waiting for next gen hardware, I don't know if it goes over there at the same time, or if it does, maybe the numbers will be skewed a bit better in Xbox's favor because of the next gen hardware and what it could put out. But if Forza Horizon 6 is geared before next gen hardware, like let's say because there's rumors bouncing between the end of 26 or holiday of 27, we'll see what Xbox comes down to. But if it winds up being 2026 and the game comes out in 2026, I think it stands a chance to go into PlayStation. But I think they're going to put most of their focus on that next gen hardware. So it's will another Forza go over there? I'm pretty sure it will, but the timing of it, whether it's the same time or maybe a year delay, is the part that's up for the debate. I think it might get a delay, especially if new hardware is the push, because they're going to want to push that new hardware at least initially for the first year, especially when, let's say, Forza Horizon 6 might be a launch title for that, along with, maybe a Halo as well as a Gears all in that same window. Yeah, they might, delay the PS5 or even the PS6. Like they might not get it until the PS6 is available or
Yeah.
something to that effect type of deal.
Yeah.
But with all that they're doing, I'm curious to see what the next game is also for PlayStation coming over to Xbox. Like I know it's not a topic for tonight, but considering Helldivers 2 is coming over, I think that will be their experiment, and maybe we see, even more titles. Like, there's buzz or rumors about The Last of Us as well as maybe Spider-Man with it being a licensed game, but I could
Yeah.
see these steps being play wherever you're comfortable. If you like Xbox and its ecosystem, stay there and you'll be able to access a plethora of games from, the first party, obviously, and then maybe other platforms bringing some games over. And I think that might be the way things start moving forward, but we'll see. I know there's some ponies out there having meltdowns over Helldivers 2,
Yeah.
and some of them didn't even purchase the game, so that makes it even funnier to me. So,
Yeah, we over the week I like to sometimes post these shorts that are snippets from these episodes, and I had a clip that was us talking about Helldivers 2 from the last episode. Go check it out.
mhm.
Um, and I had a couple comments. Which got blocked by YouTube. I don't know why. It wasn't me. I don't know what happened. But one of them is still there. You can check it out. He was saying something like Helldivers isn't owned by PlayStation, and it was, which I actually got that a couple times. Like a couple people saying Helldivers is not owned by. It's like denial at this point. Like no, this is a situation where yes,
The
they own it. It's why Sony is doing the movie
publishing. Yeah.
and they're publishing it. They own the IP.
Yeah.
They got the trademark for it. I think it was back in 2016, 2015, something like that. It was a while ago. Um, but yes, they own Helldivers. So stay mad, I guess. So we'll see what happens. But I am interested in like if Nix's this is their first time like porting something to consoles, um, and for Xbox, like kind of specifically, because Helldivers is already on PC. So I am interested. What you made a good point of like Spider-Man possibly in the future, and all these other games that Sony has, where it can just find new life on other platforms. And it really did make sense for Helldivers, in my opinion. So we'll see. I think this will be a test case for them. With Sony, if so, people, if you want Sony to bring more games on Xbox, just buy it. Buy Helldivers too. We'll see what happens. Let me go ahead and read some of the chat. You guys are awesome. You guys are having other conversations in chat, and I appreciate y'all. Let me get to some of you guys in the chat. We have Poison Maniac shouting everybody out. Shout out to you as well, Poison. We have Nisa Hauer saying, "I know some people would like South of Midnight. Love
Mm.
South of Midnight. Actually, that's one of those games. Like, there's so many games I'm playing right now. I definitely am going to go back and beat that game. I was like 9 or something hours in before I stopped playing. And then because I was playing Doom, I think Doom was coming out around that time or something like that.
Yeah.
So I jumped from South of Midnight to Doom, and then something else came out. So it just got my attention at the time. Um, but have you gone ahead and beat South of Midnight?
Yeah, I beat South of Midnight. I haven't beat Doom just yet, and I haven't beat Avowed just yet. I'm about 60% through on Avowed and probably like 40% or 50% through on Doom. Was having driver issues on the PC, and I'm actually enjoying it more so on the PC. And for whatever reason, their updates keep making things worse. Where
Mm,
I had to update my drivers on my video card, which I know, yeah, PC problems kind of thing. But I figured, I'll just hold off, and maybe they'll get everything settled between them and Nvidia, and I'll come back to it in like a couple of months, and it'll be all fine. But yeah, I definitely need to get back to Avowed. I was going to wait until they do New Game Plus to kind of finish things out because I know that there's going to be some stuff I miss just based on some of the sections that I know other people have either skipped or didn't even know existed, like a snow-covered level or something like that as well.
oh, nice.
But yeah, South of Midnight, that one I finished it, but I didn't get 1,000 gamer score because hey, no, I'm not going to be able to do two of those bosses with no hits. Like
Mm-hmm.
those achievements, yeah, nah, sorry. I wish I could. Like I somehow did the one for the owl or the basically the guy that turns into like a hawk or an owl or something like that. That one I did, but I don't know how because I swore I got pushed when he launches forward at you kind of deal, but it says I didn't get hit, so I'm going to take it. But the alligator one, I kept messing up on that one, especially when it came time to ring the bell or something like that the second time. Like, no, yeah, I'm screwed on getting the 1,000 gamer score on that. It's like, yeah, my playability is not quite there. So
Yeah, I feel that there's certain games where I'm like, I will get 1,000 in this specific game. It's like if I really vibe with it, then I care more about the gamer score. If it's just like a
mhm.
game I play for 2 seconds, like whatever. But like South of Midnight seems like one of those games where I'm like, yeah, it's like maybe it's like condensed games, like a little bit more condensed experiences. Like you beat the game, it's not super intimidating.
Mhm.
Like I love Halo, but the Master Chief Collection achievement list is intimidating as heck. This is like 4 or 5 different games, each one having their own achievements. It's insane. I think there's that game still has the most achievements on Xbox game, the Master Chief Collection, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken. We got RSJ fans saying they never played nice with others. Look at Borderlands. It's all because they want you to just buy a PS.
Yeah.
Oh, he's talking about the crossplay, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That well, that's the thing though. I am thinking about how Sony's trying to adapt to new strategies. They are very stubborn in their thinking, which is why the Helldivers thing was so surprising to me. Not super surprising because I knew they would like eventually do at least PC stuff, um, like shortening that window more and more to day one. It was just surprising to me that there's like, yeah, let's just put this game on Xbox, which means they've been just having those conversations. Um, and if they are going to start putting their games on other platforms, then they need to start being a little bit more open to stuff like crossplay as well. Especially because when you do a live service games, you need a little bit of a different mentality to make sure that game's lifespan survives. Like you need as much people as possible. You need to support that community, make sure it's living, breathing, because it could be a good game, but that's not enough for a lot of live service nowadays because a lot of live service games are great, but how are you sustaining that audience? Like I think Halo Infinite is a perfect example of that. Um, an amazing game. It
Mhm.
reviewed extremely well on release date. Then a couple weeks, couple months, they're like, "Where's the rest?" And people start chastising it for it. So yeah, we'll see what they end up doing. Crossplay, I believe, is from Poison Maniac. Crossplay, I believe, is available since FN pushed for it. But if that's something that you want, you have to pay for it. I remember reading this somewhere, I believe. What's FN? Is he talking about Forza? Is he talking about Forza?
No, there was
It's
Fortnite, I
F9.
think.
Oh, Fortnite. Oh, got you.
Yeah, because
Oh,
they
interesting.
were going to try to hold Sony hostage on that. They're like, no, you're going to have crossplay. Because I think that the thing like Poison's talking about, Sony tries to charge you for lost sales if you do crossplay. So
Hmm.
it's like, well, those people would have played on PlayStation had it not been for crossplay. So we're going to make the dev pay us for the people that are on another platform or something ridiculous like that. Like Sony's got some cojones on themselves, so yeah, I don't
That's
know.
crazy. Yeah, I forgot about that. Wow. Is that still happening? Or what did
I
they like
think
try and
after Epic told them to go screw themselves, a lot of others started doing the same. Like I think what's the other one? Take Two with Rockstar. I think they kind of Sony doesn't mess with them. They're smaller devs. They can probably still strong arm, but you know, Take Twos of the world and Epic, nah, yeah, Sony can't really,
yeah.
say, oh well, we'll block your game from the store, yeah, and that'll be half your revenue gone. So, yeah, I don't think they do it as much, where it's not as published or talked about this time around. So,
Yeah. And I've seen a lot of people talk about how on this is toxic fandom. And again, I don't think this is gonna happen. But with Helldivers too, how they're gonna mess up people's experiences day one of Xbox players and try to just like kill the people right away and all this different stuff. Like listen, y'all, this is gonna be common to have these games be multi-platform and Yeah, I'll just need to deal with it. Like it'll be okay. It's fine. Poison Maniac says, as far as Xbox going, the PC console hybrid makes perfect sense. PC gaming is a growing market, something that the traditional console market is tapped out for the most part. 100%. That's something we talk about quite a bit. Like the console market is it's what you said is tapped out. Like it's not growing as much as mobile is or PC is. And let's say the PC market grows from where it's at. It's already at a huge number. Like so, if it grows at where it's at already, it's just like goodness, you know. So that's why those markets need to be punched in on, and that's something Xbox has the lead in on. Honestly, like Sony has started to buy different studios like Nix's and things like that, but Xbox has kind of put it into the DNA of a lot of their studios to be able to put games on console, put games on PC. So they have a pretty huge head start in that regard. Whereas Sony, they kind of need like port studios to kind of take advantage of that a little bit more. Fuzzy says, another Fuzzy, not you, Fuzzy. Fuzzy Tomato says, Grounded 2 is going to be early access again, so it will just be on Xbox for a while. Okay, interesting. I didn't know that. Um, Mav from Fun Speculation says, more games everywhere. Let's go. I agree. I agree. Nisa Howard says, I think they put Hi Fi Rush on the wrong platform. They should have put it on the Switch. I
Yeah.
do agree with that. I think I just think it wouldn't work on the Switch. To be honest, I feel like that's the only reason. Because that game is very hinged upon 60 FPS and playing to like the music in a way like
Mhm.
you're fighting to the beats, and they probably didn't want to compromise the experience of like having that really good frame rate, because the what makes that game different is the beat and everything is happening in the environment. So it's not just a player. It's like it's really coherent to the experience. And I think the Switch was is just so weak. Just trying to figure out how to get that to work. The whole environment and everything on a Switch. Is it possible? Maybe. Is it worth the effort? I don't know that it was at the time. Now I don't think we'll ever see it because that studio is gone. So we do know there's a Hi-Fi Rush 2 possibly in development from that team, who's now outside of Microsoft. I do hope that is the case. I loved Hi-Fi Rush. I thought it was like a fantastic game. So maybe it'll be on Switch then. Maybe they figured out. I mean, Switch 2, it makes a lot more sense than Switch 1.
Yeah.
So, and I think we'll start seeing that on a lot of games, honestly. Like, do you think Fuzz? Like, because a lot more games are probably going to be ported to Switch 2 than Switch 1. It's a little bit more powerful. Do you think that as well, or do you think
Yeah.
people will hold back?
Well, it's kind of a weird crossroad because yeah, there will definitely be a lot more games ported to the Switch too because it is more powerful, but it's only as powerful as a PS4 Pro kind of thing. So I know there's people out there talking about, oh, GTA 6 will be on it. And it's like, it, hey, more power to them if Rockstar bothers. I don't think they'll bother.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's not a slight to like the Switch fan base, but I think it's one of those things where we know GTA is next gen only or what I would call current gen, the series consoles and the PS5. Um, if they're not putting it on the PS4 or the Xbox One, why would they bother with the Switch 2? Like it's great that it'll probably be a popular selling device, but I don't think it can handle what the Series S is or what the Series S can handle. So that's the thing where a lot of these news outlets were dogging the Series S, and yet the Switch 2 is going to be less powerful than it. I think it can do better resolution through DLSS, so it can go past 1440, but we're talking about a chipset that's a generation behind the Series S.
Yeah,
So we'll see.
yeah. This is where we're at with Nintendo. So, um, and then I'm gonna read a couple more and then we'll get to our main topic. We got fun speculation saying some more stuff. He says, reality is Xbox is doing really well right now, despite a lot of the online conversations and the layoffs. That was more of a Microsoft overall move, not a reflection on what Xbox is delivering. Then he follows that up with games are mostly selling well. Game Pass is still consistent and more games releasing than any other platform. I was actually considering making what he just said a topic because I think a lot of conversations right now around Xbox and Game Pass is that it's not doing well and Game Pass is not sustainable. We've heard for weeks, and then we found out like, oh, actually, it is sustainable, but not really. Like, it's just I just get annoyed when those conversations happen, which is why I didn't make it a topic. But I think that yes, Xbox is doing really well. I think something that was kind of mis talked about was when during the layoffs, there's a lot of articles that was saying like Xbox is in shambles because there was 9,000 layoffs and things like that. Come to find out that Xbox had 500 layoffs and it was Microsoft that had 9,000. So just like the media is going to have the Xbox tax a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And I don't like layouts. I'm not going to defend layouts. Like I was friends with a lot of the people on the Forza team and things like that. I'm not a fan of that. But in terms of what Xbox is delivering, if you think like Xbox is somehow doing terribly and the amount of games they released this year and what they're going to release next year and the year after compared to Sony where their goal is to do one game maybe a year, then your expectations is very lopsided, I will say.
Yeah.
It's incredibly lopsided compared to what we're getting on the Xbox side of things if we're just talking first party and things like that. Any comment on that, Fuzz, before we get into
Oh,
the next topic?
yeah. I'm kind of glad we didn't make it a full on topic, but like the whole Xbox Game Pass and on being unsustainable, it's like I'll say his name, Christopher During.
Yep.
Has he gotten anything right on Xbox ever? Like he said that Microsoft wasn't going to spend any more money on Game Pass and Xbox isn't sustainable, and he's had to correct himself numerous times. It's like at some point when what was it, the story where the boy cried wolf, when are people just going to ignore him? Like it feels like he says stuff about Xbox just to get attention, and then when he gets the attention and the smoke for it, then well, actually I want to clarify, keep your eyes on Sony, dude. Like, and I'm not making fun of his cross-eyedness, but like keep your eyes on Sony with them canceling a lot of their games as a service. Keep your eye on Nintendo with them, bricking stuff. I don't know. I get the whole brick thing, but that feels a little overreaching as far as, oh, I tried to pirate a game. Well, block that game or just ban them for 30 days, but don't brick the device because, hey, guess what? That person should be able to sell that device. And now somebody that gets that brick device is going to be upset that this device doesn't work and Nintendo's the cause behind it. Like, there's better ways to do it. Ban the account, but don't brick the device. I think that's the easier way. But
Yep.
who do I know? But this whole Game Pass thing, people forget you can do the subscription by itself, or you can do the subscription and buy games at the same time. Games within that subscription, games at a discount, which, by the way, there was a whole bunch of sales on things like Steam and all the other stores had, 60% off, 95% off on some games. I don't hear anybody complaining on how that's hurting the industry or how free to play games, because it's hard for new games to get any airplay if people are playing free to play games all the time. These black
Hmm.
hole games pretty much take up a lot of the space. So if you're a developer or a publisher trying to put out a game, you got to compete with the Fortnites of the world and the Apex Legends of the world or Warzone and whatnot. And it's like you might get an hour a week from the consumer because the other 18 hours plus that they might game is on one of these free to play games. And they're doing microtransactions and season passes or battle passes or whatever you want to call it. It's like, that's, I wouldn't say that's a bigger issue, but that's the bigger thing to look at and see how it's negatively affecting the industry. The
Yeah.
fact that people can rent games, like Gamefly still exists. I don't hear anybody ever pointing the finger at that. That's because, hey, guess what? They get all the day one titles from every publisher. But yeah, you can still rent, and it's not hurting the industry. Um, I don't know. I don't see anybody saying, well, they do complain every now and then, and mainly the artists, but it's
Mhm.
because of, percentages, like things like Spotify. But I don't hear any consumers complaining, only artists that, feel that they should get a better percentage and stuff, which, understandable. I mean, I can understand certain devs wanting a better percentage. The articles came out that, Microsoft spends between 50,000 to 50 million. It's like, depending on who you are and what game you make, you know, but there's just so much stuff. The whole Game Pass is unsustainable. It's like, well, they'll say that this week, and then next week it'll be back to the Series S as a potato.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm just waiting for, control batteries in a controller in 2025. Like, they haven't talked about that in a while, because I'm the one out there saying the PS controllers are crap after 4 hours. Like, I actually game on my PS5 enough where I might sit for 8 hours and play GT7. Guess what? Controller only lasts 4 hours. The console's what, 3 years old, 4 years old? I got it at launch, so I don't know. Maybe having internal batteries is a problem. Well, it's not a problem in my Elite controller, because I could go 3 days without having to charge that and have 16 to 24 hours worth of playtime on it and still not need a charge. Like, I'm just saying.
Yeah. I think people forget that Game Pass, not anybody in our community. I think most people in our community, they understand the conversations we have, and we obviously see some of the media biases that's kind of out there about, like, is Game Pass going to end gaming as a whole? Like, it's either Game Pass is so good it's going to ruin the industry because no one else can do it, or it's the other side where Game Pass is not sustainable. It's bad. Like, why would you want Game Pass? And for me, I mean, I look at it as a consumer, and I'm like, okay, I'm just a value guy. Like, what can I get for the money I'm putting in? And it seems like I'm getting a crap ton with Game Pass. So that's where I want to be. And I bet you a lot of people who are just like, if you're just shopping around with a grandma or something, they see something that's like $6 and or something that's $10, they're gonna want something that's the $6 without knowing much about it usually, right? But for the most part, I love Game Pass. I think it's great value proposition. I hate how the media is turning something that is pretty good, like for like gamers out there, and then they're somehow turning that into a bad thing and not caring about the substance of the service, like caring about what's actually on the service, which is Game Pass, like all the games on Game Pass. It's no longer conversations about what's actually on the service. It's about the potential of what the industry, like what's going to happen with the industry because of Game Pass. I'm like, bro, just play the just play the games. Like, who cares at this point? But I got to shout out Web Dave. He dropped on a raid into the chat. Shout out to all the people dropping on in. Web Dave, as always, sends people over to the Pixelated Echoes. Appreciate y'all for dropping on in. We are just having fiery discussions about some things going on. I'm gonna read a couple of your guys' chats again, because you guys had some response to what me and Fuzzy are saying. Then we're gonna jump into the main topic. I promise you. I promise you guys. But we got Razor Ultron saying, "Oh, 3-bit ruining gaming." Yeah, sorry guys. I only wanted to cancel the best games, so the worst games could come through. That was my bad. And they say Howard saying VG Fight School did a whole series of videos on Chris Drink. My whole thing about Chris Drink is like, Drink is it Chris Drink? Yeah, I think it's. Um,
Yeah.
my whole thing is like, people have really short term memory or something with this guy, because he said, like, what was it, like a year or so ago, how Game Pass was sustainable. Then he came out just recently saying it wasn't sustainable. Like, did people just forget what he said? Like before, I feel like, and then he pretended like, oh, let me clarify. Like, no, you already clarified like a year ago. So it's like the same conversations with these guys, and it's like the amount of developers too that has come out and would say something like the Series S is a potato, and how bad the Series S is, only to come find out that like it's almost immediately like shunned over when it's like, oh, actually it wasn't because of this, and like the whole not Wu Chang, the Black Myth Wukong,
Hmm.
like for since the game was coming out, the developer was saying how the Series S was bad, and how they couldn't get the game to work and all this different stuff, only to immediately a year to the exact date be like, oh yeah, it's coming to Xbox and Series S. Like, I thought, was it not possible before? Like, these are the stuff you guys will start seeing. You'll see patterns pop up, right? Because it's going to happen again. You guys are going to watch this exact show, and I bet you a month or so from now, you will see a Christopher Drink say the same thing. We'll have the same conversation that, Game Pass is unsustainable, right? This is the main topics people keep bringing up over on in the gaming media, that Game Pass is unsustainable, that Series S is a potato, um, and it's so tiring, man. It it's just like to me, I obviously see the articles, I'm seeing what's happening of like these same things popping up. Like even I think this was discredited almost immediately, but the Gotham Knights dev saying that it wasn't possible to um, make the game 60 frames per second, due to the console hardware of the Series S and all this different stuff, only to immediately in Gotham, from Gotham Knights to Suicide Squad, do 60 FPS on the Series S. It's just like, bro, there's so much evidence out there. So whenever someone just says like Series S potato, it's weak, it's there's so much evidence to discredit that. I can't take a lot of those people seriously.
Yeah,
Um,
it's more powerful than a Steam Deck, and yet these games run on the Steam Deck.
it's like, okay, like you like, okay, sure, it's unsustainable. Just believe what you don't want at this point, because there's so much evidence to the contrary, and it usually comes down to development time and what the developer is willing to put into the game. It's just frustrating sometimes. But we have to rant about it every now and then, but just know we see these same dang conversations, and we are not a part of that crowd. Preston says 7-year development cycles are not sustainable. Game Pass is. Oh yeah, actually, I'm gonna, what you just said, I'm actually going to get into it with this next topic. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Appreciate everyone for dropping on in. Let's jump into our second topic. All right, here we go. This is Fallout. I think this is Fuzzy's gameplay. I don't even know where this gameplay came from. So Fuzzy has been always to send me like gameplay clips and stuff. I believe this is from Fuzzy, or it might be mine. I don't know. So yeah, let's talk about this Fallout stuff. There's been a lot of buzz lately, and while the article from Insider Gaming, it doesn't confirm anything massive. I have an article up here. Let me put up the little picture. So this has kind of been going around. This is an article from Insider Gaming, kind of saying that multiple Fallout projects are in development, and it's claimed. There's a couple of quotes in the article. I'll put a couple up. This It was claimed in April that the Fallout 3 remaster is in the works. Quote, but it might be a very long time before it materializes. We're also several years away from Fallout 5 emerging from the depths of Bethesda Game Studios. Also, during an episode of Skill Up's Friend Per Second podcast, it was claimed that multiple Fallout games are in development. Um, so that's what this says. But as I was reading it, it was saying it was very much. I'll get to that. So basically, yes, Fallout is coming. But don't hold your breath because what's happening right now is more like ideation. Like teams are stacking ideas. Like in the podcast, they mentioned um, so I was trying to track it down. I see a bunch of people like mention like, oh, there's a bunch of Fallout games in production and development. It's been rumored and things like that. I'm like, okay, where is this quote coming from? Because I'm just curious. And on the podcast or something, apparently it was just like, oh, it's in the ideation phase. Like they're just thinking about it. They're trying different things. So it's very, very early pre-production stuff. It is cool that they are thinking about multiple projects, if that's the case, but it's still like it may happen. It's so early that it honestly all those ideas could turn into one game, for example. Um and yeah, I mean, where I find this whole thing is interesting though is the Fallout TV show on Amazon Prime brings this sort of cross media progression, right? Where um you had like the Fallout TV series on Amazon Prime where it boosted player interest in the Fallout video game franchise. With like some games in the Fallout, they experience a 200% increase in player count. Like it's, when the show came out, people were like, okay, what is Fallout? Let me go check it out. And they went to either buy it, download it. It received like such a huge increase. So interestingly enough, because of like the show's success, that possibly greenlighted some of these games. Um, Throughout the Fallout games, just in development. The bad thing is, someone brought up in the chat, kind of something I was going to bring up as well. It is kind of a problem with modern day game development, like the fact that games take 7+ years to make nowadays, and that's normal. So if there are several Fallout games in development, I won't expect to see that till I don't know 2030 something crazy from now, and that's a long time. I am interested in where they could go with the story. I do know there's like a heavy focus right now in the team to do the new Elder Scrolls. So interestingly enough, for at least the Fallout remake, that seems like that's closer in development, just based on Rumorville and things like that. I also think Oblivion was a really good test and development, which they utilize a whole new engine, being the Unreal Engine, and that could be a good case study for the Fallout remake if they wanted to switch over to a different engine, or if they wanted a smaller team to maybe handle the Fallout 3 remake while they work on Fallout 5, or however they want to do it. Maybe they start segregating different teams to like smaller teams to try and get these out a little bit quicker. But it is kind of a problem with modern day game development. It takes a long freaking time to make a lot of these games. So if it's hard for a lot of these people to like ride the hype. Like Fallout was popping like last year, a year before that, and stuff like that, just because of the TV show. But it's games take a long time to make, so
Yeah.
they could try and jump on the hype, maybe with the Fallout remake, but I don't expect to see a Fallout 6 for quite some time. So yeah, just wondering, Fuzz, like I have a lot of thoughts on this with
Mhm.
different Fallout games and development, and maybe some people in chat could tell me maybe there's another quote from another developer like this is definitely happening, but the quote that I seen, it just seemed like it was taken out of context a little bit, like this is definitely happening. Apparently a developer said that this was like yeah, we're thinking about it, we're having an ideation phase and stuff like that, and people are like, oh, they're making it, that's just what I got out of it. I could be
Mhm.
wrong, but Fuzz, what do you think about multiple Fallout projects in development?
Well, the probably the easiest one and the one that I think that they'll have the most focus on is going to be Fallout 76 because they've done some character related stuff and some scenery stuff in 76 to correspond with the Fallout uh series and stuff. I would like to think bringing back the guy over at Obsidian that worked on the original Fallout New Vegas. Even though he said it's not going to be a Fallout New Vegas 2, but that could be a technicality. It could be called New Vegas, or new some other location outside of Vegas or something along those lines. But I would hope that that's a project that does get some green light to it, type of thing. But that, like you said, game development takes a while. And if they hired them like less than 6 months ago or brought them back less than 6 months ago, unless that project has been in incubation for a couple of years, the earliest we're probably going to see it is like maybe 2028, 2029, or something along those lines. Although Obsidian has been great as far as, churning out games within what feels to be a reasonable amount of time. But yeah, I would love for there to be more projects, but ultimately a true Fallout 5 might be a 2030 timeline. And like, I mean, unless they put several other projects on hold. I mean, Bethesda Online recently, canceled one or had one of their projects canceled. I don't know how much of that team they've kept to shift over to a Fallout. I mean, will they work on something Fallout related, or will they work on something Starfield related, or will they work on something Elder Scrolls related? Like,
Yeah.
that's probably the biggest tough part is, you know, like you said, games taking as long as they do, moving personnel around. While that may not be that much time consuming, as far as if it's within, the same region that they've been working in originally, and just being able to communicate with like maybe other teams that they're going to coordinate with. But whew, I do hope they have something more than what they're doing for Fallout 76 in a closer timeline. Like we had joked about this like last year, where ultimately, like if money was no object and time was of the essence, and you could pull manpower from here, there, and everywhere, have some people from In Exile and Obsidian and from teams within Bethesda start either working on a Fallout 5 so that you can get at least it up to speed, and hopefully get it as far along as you can before you hand it off to the official Fallout team, kind of thing, that or wrapping up Elder Scrolls possibly, or have it where In Exile does a remake of, or helps with handing off a remake to like a similar team that did like the Oblivion remake, have them do a remake of maybe Fallout 1. And we're hearing rumors of the Fallout 3 remake, which, while that will definitely put a Fallout in people's hands, it's not necessarily a Fallout that ties into what they're doing now. So it'll scratch an itch for some, but like the majority that are watching the TV series, they're going to want those same characters in a game. And I don't know if even doing a remake, if that would be an easy enough task to make it where the characters can be swappable with the characters we see in the TV series and stuff. But I fingers crossed they have multiple projects in hand. But 2028 is probably the earliest I expect. And who knows? Will they? That'll be what, like season what,
Uh,
4 or 5 or something at that point. And
yeah.
hopefully the interest is still there. And I could see Fallout being that series that goes 11 seasons even. But like, yeah, I
Yeah.
I, I really wish that Bethesda was big enough and had the budget and resources enough, that, or Microsoft would give them the resources to be able to say, all right, Todd, make a specific Fallout 5 team, keep your Elder Scrolls 6 team, and also spin up a, Starfield 2 team, and then have all of these games kind of going. I mean, in deep down, and you know, I wish there was another project like the Project Blackbird that would have been like maybe their fourth team and
I would
make
love
that
for that.
into a
Yeah.
release game as well. But you know, budgets aren't limitless, and the drawback is some stuff got cut, and we'll see what if that means that all of those resources now get filtered towards Fallout, which maybe hopefully they do. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Uh, Man, don't get me started on that. But yeah, I think maybe like some people in chat are mentioning like Obsidian helping out and things like that, and how quick Obsidian Obsidian, they are geniuses. I don't know how they managed to get games out that quickly and it feels the way that they do. Um, but someone's mentioning like, oh, why doesn't 1 hour one decision says why the heck doesn't Microsoft just have these studios just share teams more? As someone who's worked with Microsoft, they do. They do have different teams like help out each other with different tech, engine stuff, or a coalition definitely helps out a lot of different teams with different problems with the Unreal Engine. I think Microsoft is the leading company to work on Unreal Engine projects, like in general. So the coalition and Epic definitely have a good partnership with each other and are funneling resources to each other the more they learn about the engine and other studios. It's happening. I just think certain studios are very good about deadlines. It's something I criticized Rare about even before all these layoffs with like Everwild, right? You can look back at different episodes. I've been like criticizing Rare because I felt like if you have a situation where with Everwild where you don't know what the game is, you're like, I don't know. We heard that years ago. I think Jez was had a couple of articles about it, like that even Rare didn't know what Everwild was, and they just didn't have um a very good vision, or I chalk that up to the people at Rare, like some of the leadership there. If you want to be able to make your own game, this is a side thing, but this is what bugged me about the whole Rare situation. If you want to be able to be rewarded by Microsoft, like, hey, you can make your own game. I feel like that should be a reward a little bit for Microsoft going forward, just because like what Rare is known for. All the banjos, all the stuff. They're like, oh, we don't want to make those anymore. Like that's not what the team wants to make. We want to make our own original games. Like, okay, cool. Where is it? Like, you're making Sea of Thieves. That's dope. I think it's a great game. I think it's super well polished and stuff. It didn't come out well polished. I think when it first came out, it was a little rough. I actually played Sea of Thieves at E3, and it was fun, but it was very bare bones. Now it's like a very well polished experience. But I think if you're gonna have these studios make the games that they want to make, I think they also need to prove it a little bit. They need to prove that they are all right. And Lewis says I challenge you to do a show without mentioning Ray. I can't. It just bugs me too much, Lewis. Like, I'm gonna keep bringing it up till they freaking figure it out. Have Rare on punishment. Rare needs to be on punishment, and then they need to make a Conquer or a Banjo as part of their punishment. Then they could work on a Everwild. You know, that's just me. That's just me. But no, to what you said, Fuzz, about like Fallout, I think it's going to be rough if it takes that long. But it looks like with modern day game development, it is going to take that long. In the meantime, they can really just put a lot of fast development on the Fallout 3 remake and do something there. A lot of a lot of media around the Fallout story does focus around Fallout 3. A little bit like a dash of Fallout 4 for sure, but that could be a good way to just like kind of ride on the hype train a little bit. I also think outside of that, if I was Microsoft, I would look at that as the first thing you do. The second thing you do, maybe that's one game. The second game, if it's multiple projects in development, is just having Obsidian work on a Fallout New Vegas type. Maybe it could be Fallout New Vegas 2. Once they are done with Outer Worlds 2, maybe that's their next project. That could be really cool. Um, and then your Fallout 5s and stuff, that's way later, and maybe you get a smaller team to work on that for now because it's like these are massive games. It's really hard to just make a small kind of a Fallout type game because Bethesda, Obsidian, the only developers really making these types of games, like the Starfields, the Fallouts, and the Skyrims. Like it's such an ambitious game in its just like summary, like what Fallout is. Like it's open world game where you can like go into every building for the most part. You can like take all these different items. The items will stay there. Like this Bethesda model is just kind of hard to kind of replicate and make a small experience. But I think what Obsidian does really well is making those ambitious projects, um, but like kind of keeping it a smaller but polished experience all at once. I don't know how the heck they do it, but they are definitely a team to tackle that challenge. Shout out to everybody dropping on in. Got about 90 or 93 people in here watching live. I appreciate everybody who are watching these shows each and every uh, episode. So appreciate y'all. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. As Web Dave says, hit the like button. Web Dave, appreciate you every single show, as of course. Hope you're doing well, brother. And I gotta jump on one of your shows. He said I got definitely jump on there around the Fable timeline. I can never really talk about Fable, but I'm excited. I'm excited for the game. I always say that the game is confirmed will have grass. It's gonna have a sky and a sword. So this is an exclusive for you guys. Um, that will definitely be in Fable. So look out for that in Fable. No, but I appreciate you guys. Let me read some of these comments and we'll move on. We got Razor Ultron saying to 1 hour 1 decision, Obsidian should share their workflow and structure with other Xbox studios, and that's what we got into that conversation. Just know that they do. Um, they definitely share resources with each other. There are teams like for example Rare. One more time I'm mentioning Rare. Okay, this is a good thing though. I know some people are like you keep mentioning Rare. Um, they are so good at like water tech, and I know for sure that some of that water tech um has been like shared with other teams and things like that. Like they're the fact that if you're playing Sea of Thieves and someone is on like a large wave, and then you as a player you are seeing that wave and it's consistent, like that wave is what they're seeing, that and that wave is what you're seeing. That's actually really hard to do in a multiplayer game. Like sometimes you'll see different games where you see someone like walking into a wall or something like that, but on their screen they're not. They're just you're like, it's like persistent sort of things happening there. But their tech is amazing. I think they definitely hit it on the nail with that one. And I think there's a lot of situations where Microsoft teams are sharing resources with each other. And I think with the Fallout games, I is not confirmed. I don't know, but I feel like that is something they will definitely do with the Fallout games because it's such a massive game. And if they want their team to focus on Elder Scrolls, like let's say that's the main priority for Bethesda is to focus on the next Elder Scrolls, which I believe it is, especially if you want that to come out before there's a Fallout in real life, then you definitely need some more teams. Like I don't want to be seeing Fallout in my backyard and then Fallout the game comes out, you know. So, at least GTA 6, I'll be able to play GTA 6 and and be alive, hopefully. We have Omi Tony saying, I think the policies that keep contracts short are hurting any real cross sharing for projects. People just don't stay long enough. 100%. That's definitely for 343. I know that was a huge case with 343 Industries where they had contracted a lot of their workers, and it was like, let's say it was like 9 months or 6 months or something like that. They would finally get into the rhythm of how their engine works and how the team functions and everything, and then their contract is over and it's not renewed. That happened quite a bit at 343, and I think why I believe it was a positive move for them to move to the Unreal Engine is because of that, because a lot of teams are utilizing the Unreal Engine. So it's kind of a benefit to people if they are contract, which I don't think Microsoft going to get rid of doing contracts, unfortunately. I was contracted, this FYI. Um, but at least if you're contracted, universally a lot of developers know Unreal Engine, and then every other engine kind of have to learn. Um, so many funny comments in here. Lewis says, not exactly. Just because a TV character isn't in the game doesn't mean the plot points in TV can still foreshadow in-game remake. Were you guys talking about the
Oh,
Fallout?
I think he like with the Fallout 3 remake, because like if you were to try to speed up and have the characters from the show added into that, I think that would just take way too long and probably be a bigger ask. But what he's saying is like some of the stuff that happens in that game could be the foreshadowing, much like with the TV series kind of showing what looks like Vegas
Oh
that
yeah.
they're walking to.
Hmm.
There could be some overlap and tie-in. So whether it's a remake of, New Vegas or something to that effect, or some of the stuff from three making it into the game. I mean, making it into the TV series,
Mm.
that would definitely help things with the remakes and stuff, as opposed to, waiting on the Fallout 5, which could be completely separate from the TV series, or it could be, the after effects of what happens in the TV series. So it's kind of hard to say because I think from a timeline wise, 76 is current time with this TV series, but all the
Mm.
other Fallouts are like between 20 to 60 years
Right.
prior or something like that, I think, because of the jump from when we first see Walter Goggins before he becomes the what do you call him, the ghoul,
Right.
to the time where they're in the story now. I think it's like a 20-year jump from four, and then like a 60-year jump or something along those lines, I think.
Got you. Yeah. Well, maybe it's like a Minecraft situation. Like if you play Minecraft, it has skins of the Minecraft movie, but so
Yeah,
maybe with the next Fallout, they will have like a skin pack. Like play as I forgot the main character's name in the Fallout show, but
I forget her name too.
yeah, what the heck is her name? Yeah, play as her, whatever her name is,
Mhm.
and then yeah, yeah, we'll see. Let's see who we got here. Um, I'm trying not to. Lewis says I. It's funny. Lewis says I challenge you to do a show without mentioning Rare and Everwild. It's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. I will keep mentioning them because they are such a good um, case study for what I usually want to talk about, which is different studios and where studios are going and whatever. Just swap places. Was I always on the bottom? Oh, whatever. Um, then we got Lucy, that Cage
Yeah,
Vampiro Baracho saying, Lucy, appreciate you guys for dropping on in. And yeah, Lucy. If I forgot your guys' comment, just let me know. Just retype it. Honestly, there's so many different comments, and we'll definitely get to it. So my next thing, Fuzz, that I wanted to get into is actually Ghost of Yotei. So I they had a PlayStation kind of showcase of the game. I think I forgot how long the footage was. It was like let's just say 12 or so minutes, maybe 20.
Mhm.
Um, and I really liked what I saw out of it. There was a lot to dig into here. First off, the setup to me was very compelling. We had the main character's motivation. They kind of went into why she's fighting. Her motivation was very classic. She wanted her family. She kind of like watched her family get murdered,
Yeah.
and now she's back after like 16 years. She went to like the South and came back to kind of exact revenge on this group called the Yutei Six.
Mhm.
So it's like simple but strong. I'm like, okay, okay, I could vibe with that. That's cool. Like any game that's like makes me mad, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get them back. It got me right. So there's this mechanic where you can flick between timelines. Like you can look at the past where you like walk up to an area, you can like flick to the past and see what it used to look like.
Mhm.
That to me felt really gimmicky. I'm like, why? Maybe they'll have like a segment where it's like puzzly, like you can look toward the past to find something for the future. Then I'm like, okay, I guess. But it felt gimmicky to me personally. It felt like a tech demo, the SSD show off kind of a situation. Like, look what we do! Woo, we could do this. I mean, that's just me. When I seen, it, I was like, okay, sure, I guess. Um, the grass, as always. I mean, that's a good big thing with Tsushima games. It's like the
Mhm.
environment. The grass
Yeah.
looked gorgeous. I do love how they're like grass tech, whatever it's called. I think it looks really lush. I never finished Tsushima, but if I do end up playing this, I do want to finish that first to kind of justify this purchase. Um, Especially with like the DLC and stuff they added to the main character's story. I know they added some multiplayer elements and things like that. There was a moment in the trailer that really stood out to me. You can kind of interrogate this enemy and choose what topic to ask him about,
Mhm.
and based on that, you unlock different outcomes. Like one route, based on what you chose, it led to like a samurai style fiery situation where you're fighting people around fire. In the trailer, there was another one, like there was another outcome where one route led to like these snow covered ninjas kind of like popping out, and if you beat that, you can get like these stealth techniques. So all the different paths based on that one choice that you had with the guy can lead to you getting different weapons or different techniques, which is pretty cool.
Mhm.
That did remind me of Shadow of Mordor, like this kind of evolving enemy system with like tangible outcomes, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And something I like happening in games. This happened in Batman as well. I love when a game like, let's say you start off the game kind of weak, and then throughout the game you get more and more powerful, and then the people in the game they they start getting afraid of you, right? They're like, oh man, it's the Batman, you know. I love when games do that. They
Yeah.
kind of hinted at it. I don't know how far they're gonna go, but they kind of mentioned uh like your reputation growing in game, enemies will get more and more deadly. You get bounties on you, and bounties can go up. Um, so yeah, this is off the top of my head some of the things that I vibe with in the trailer.
Yeah.
If we're talking about graphically, I'll be real. Like the faces and stuff look really good. The hair looks freaking fantastic. I do like the grass and things like that. But I think the foliage and environmental systems kind of makes up for it looking, to me, this is my opinion, I think it looks a little bit worse than Tsushima.
Mhm.
Maybe I can't put my finger on what it is. It seems like maybe certain lighting situations or what have you. Could be wrong. It just looks a little bit worse to me. But what they're doing with the foliage and environmental system and things like that, like the leaves and petals kind of flying around in the fights, which was in the first game,
Yeah.
that stuff will always sell the vibe for any graphical mishap in there. But overall, it is a beautiful game.
Oh
I
yeah.
think it is like the art style is really nice. The combat looked kind of fun. Um, so just to you, Fuzz, did you get a chance to kind of check out this this game, and you have any thoughts on
Oh
what you
yeah.
saw?
Oh yeah. I and just for anybody that's played the game and finished it, I chose the red armor outcome, or the outcome I chose gave me the red armor. So if that gives you any indication of how it ended for me. Um, But like the key things that I wanted to see as an improvement over Tsushima, we're getting more weapons. Now, I do have to make mention of the elephant in the room. Assassin's Creed Shadows came out not too long ago. And a lot of the things that I liked about that game in comparison to Tsushima, we're now getting in Ghost of Yotei. We're getting those better weapons. We're getting a character that doesn't seem as strong from a samurai standpoint, although it looks like you will still, if you do the standoff, if you screw up on your timing, you will have to heal yourself because you'll be near death. But I like the fact that you can do the interrogation, or I guess maybe spare, or torture your opponents for different outcomes and things, whether it's something relating directly to the main cast of the story as far as the six, or if you're looking more so, like you said, for like the path to give you better weapons or better stances and things like that. I like that option, and it feels like there isn't that big push to run through the story. I mean, if you want to run through the story, you can, or you can take the scenic route and do some of the shrines and get your character level up, or get better gear for your character, dress them the way you want to, type of deal. Which I know there's a small segment of gamers out there that are like, oh my god, she's so ugly, and why can't it be like Stellar Blade? Like, I'm gonna keep it real. If it was like Stellar Blade, samurais would be chopping off boob. So, like, do you want to see that? Like, come on, no. But seriously, I like the aspect that this is she's a ghost or like a legend to some extent. And like you said, you're going to build up your reputation, I guess, depending on your outcomes as far as whether you're torturing or killing some of these, guards of the regions and things like that.
Yeah.
So when you go into bars or if you go into a different town, they might start running. I like that. And I love the fact that they kept the dismemberment. So we saw some of the limbs and stuff getting chopped off. And that was, yes, I'm probably a psycho deep down, but I'll say it anyway. I love doing the limb chopping in the first one, or in Ghost of Tsushima,
Yeah.
primarily because it was the first time I saw enemies trip over themselves to get away from you. Like after you chop one guy's arm off, they look at it. Well, first the guy is like flipping out and bleeding and falling, getting ready to die, and then the others are running from you, tripping over themselves to get away from you. Like that was, as crazy as it sounds, was like an eye-opening thing in a game to have it where, oh, now I'm a badass, so now they gotta run from me, kind of thing. And it looks like you're gonna have that same type of mechanic in this as well, and you can go a little bit more stealth and do more of like a time three takedown type of deal without it being quite as, I wouldn't say gimmicky as what Shadows did. Shadows did an excellent job as far as multiple takedowns and stuff, but some of them are like, well, you have the thing unlocked to automatically kill the third guy by throwing a Chinese star at him or something along those lines. So it looks like you're going to have to do more of it manually, but I love how they have a lot of that set up. Love the look of some of the armors that you will have to unlock. I love that we can do the campfire thing, and you'll have people from either your wolf pack or other vendors travel to you and try and sell you this mask that, when me and Boom talked about it, it's like maybe that one of those masks that they're selling to you is Jin's mask. Somehow they'll tie in Ghost of Tsushima into it. And that'd be pretty cool to do so as well. But I like the revenge story. I loved how, now it's not related to this game, but I love the revenge story that was in Sifu, and how you had to go and hunt down or go through each one of those regions and hunt down the boss and stuff. And if it winds up having that similar flavor just with the visuals of a Ghost of Tsushima or Ghost of Yotai type of look, I'm all for it. But I've seen some of the takes as far as it looking like a PS4 game, and sure, like I'll be honest, for a PS4 game, Ghost of Tsushima was my game of the year when it came out, and it was an excellent looking game for the PS4. If this happens to be maybe about the same or a step up slightly kind of thing for the PS5, so be it. I know when they did the PS5 upgrade for Ghost of Tsushima, a lot of people, including Digital Foundry, said that there's pixel by pixel, not much real difference. So
Yeah.
Sucker Punch did an excellent job in optimizing their game. it looks like it's going to be a similar situation where visually it might not be that much more above it, but
Mhm.
the lilies and the floating leaves and things like that, the cherry blossom leaves falling and or blowing around in the wind, all of that stuff I'm looking forward to. And instead of they didn't really show like when Jin used to walk through the tall grass, he would like run his fingers through the grass and stuff.
Oh yeah,
But it did show that I guess you get some sort of boost if you're running through certain flowers with the horse, as opposed to the regular grass. If you run through the flowered grass, you get some sort of boost or something. So it'll be interesting to see what other hints and tips and things like that you come across in the world. But it's great that this game is coming out this year. It would have been nice if Sony was releasing more games this year from first party outside of MLB.
yeah,
But I'm looking forward to it. This is a day went by begrudgingly because I was really hoping they would do PC day and date. I know they're not on that level yet. They'll eventually get there. But if it was going to PC day and date, I would have probably did the double dip and then gotten Ghost of Tsushima on PC and this on PC, as opposed to now I'll probably just get this on PS5 and not bother with a remake or a remaster on PS6 if I even get a PS6.
yeah.
But yeah, it's right up my alley. It's a hack and slash game, a little bit of revenge. You still get all of the different uniforms or costumes, let's just say, that you can go for, whether you want to go more for like I don't want to call her a nursemaid, but like more of like the common folk dress, or somewhat samurai like dress, or something that's more like a I guess you could say a demon with some of the masks and things like that. So
It's
I'm
funny.
going
As
to
soon
go
as you
more of the
said that,
Ronin approach
it's
because of the hat. The hat is what does it for me for this one. So
yeah.
I'll probably go more Ronin and probably do the double sword or double katana setup or something like that. So
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Just as soon as you said that, the outfits was appearing on the screen, so it was like you timed it like perfectly. But no, no,
no, but
continue. Sorry.
it's what Sony does best as far as their single player story driven narratives. I just wish they were able to churn out more of them, but this is the one I've been most anticipating for this, generation. I care less about Ragnarok. I didn't buy God of War. The first one, I didn't finish the 2018. Bought Miles Morales this gen. Still haven't bought Spider-Man 2 because I'm still waiting until they do like a trifecta pack on PC with some
Mm,
sort of discount to it. And if it's not discounted on Steam, it ain't getting bought. So it is what it is. But this one I will buy. Not sure I'm going to do the deluxe this go round because I think you just basically get a mask and some of the trinkets,
mhm.
and those didn't really do much. And I think I got a special horse in the first one. Um, but we'll see if they do the free DLC like they did with the multiplayer. It would be nice, but then again, most of the people I know on PlayStation didn't play it, so we'll see. Um, and then I bought the Iki Island DLC, and I'll be honest, I only played maybe about 6 hours of it.
Mhm.
So that was, I won't say it was a
I mean,
waste, but it's
more
something
than
that I'll
me.
eventually get to it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It's definitely more than me. So from what you've seen, because you've played it more than me, I only played a few hours of Ghost of Tsushima, and I'll get to the people in the chat who saying it's DLC and all this other stuff. I'll get to you guys.
Yeah.
But just based from what you've played on Ghost of Tsushima to this, does it look like not just graphically upgrade, but like maybe some of the gameplay features and things like that? Like they showed like a I know you mentioned a couple of it, but like they
Mhm.
showed like a wolf kind of attacking
Yeah.
with you, and they showed some small stuff. Do you feel like it's substantial upgrade, or you feel like it's like minimal upgrades that you're still interested in kind of playing it?
I think for me, the biggest upgrade are the variety of weapons. But like I said, a lot of the weapons that were in AC Shadows, you now get. So it's like AC Shadows. I think if Ubisoft did anything right this generation or recently, they kind of taper or tamper with the expectations of what Ghost of Yotai could be, because a
Mm,
lot of the stuff that people were looking forward into a Ghost of Yotai, we saw in Shadows, just with two different characters. But it it's not. I wouldn't. How can I put this nicely? It doesn't look like it's a generational upgrade. It just looks like it's a more polished version of what the previous one was. Like the best way to put it would be how Spider-Man 2018 being remastered for PlayStation 5 and Miles Morales, like how those were better than what the 2018 was on the PS4. It was kind of that, and there were some things that, like the roundness of soda cans, was almost a downgrade in, I guess, Spider-Man 2 in comparison. So it's like some stuff is improved, some stuff it looks like they kind of just carried over, or maybe have tweaked and put less focus on and put more focus on, like maybe some of the outfits as opposed to um, the rock formations or things like that. Because the rock formations in something like Ghost of Tsushima versus what we saw in AC Shadows, two different levels. Like I think environmentally, other than some of the cherry pick scenes that they use for Ghost of Yotai, AC Shadows I think has it beaten as far as environmental detail. I could be wrong. I'll see when I have Ghost of Yotai on my PS5,
yeah.
but I think AC Shadows really did a better job visually for the environment. The
Mm,
sun, the seasons, the a mix of everything, and how those things play into stealth, or running through the rain or making noise through the rain, or and stuff like that. We'll see if it carries over. Well, not if it carries over, but if Ghost of Yotai meets that, and I think AC Shadows might outshine it in some areas. But that's still not going to prevent me from getting this game. I
sure.
still want to get this game and play this game. The story of vengeance, and I guess she's naked in one of the hot springs or whatever, and you can see the scars where I guess they stabbed her in her shoulder,
Yeah.
which, kind of like you said, it is kind of gimmicky on the flashback between her childhood and current time. But I think it'll be like almost like the echoes in what do you call it, in the Division for me. So it's like, oh
Mm,
well, this gives me a little bit of backstory. Oh,
right.
they killed her sister first, and then they killed her mom. No, like stuff like that. Like it'll probably make us mad and want us to behead one of the six, or do certain tortures to them going through that stuff. So gimmicky, yeah, but I have a feeling that it'll be a way to encourage you to really pursue those six, and torture them like they tortured your family, kind of thing. But
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. I think if they like intertwine it with the story pretty well, and it's like maybe you hear voices of the mother like in this area or things like that. I think just the way they initially showed it was just like, and you could do this thing, okay, and then it was like, oh, whoa, okay. But if they really intertwine it with the story, and it makes sense, and yeah, it could feel less gimmicky for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, good points. I still gotta jump into AC Shadows, like more so. Like I bought it again. There's so many freaking games that come out. Um, Completely forgot about AC Shadows, honestly, till like right now. But I know
Mhm.
there's going to be a lot of natural comparisons from AC Shadows to this, because when it did come out, I do remember a lot of people saying like, "This is what I want Ghost of Tsushima to kind of be like, or the next iteration." So yeah, naturally, it's gonna have some comparisons. There. Let's get to some chats. You guys are having a whole field day over here with some of the conversations. I appreciate you guys for dropping on in. Cage Vampiro Baracho. I'm just gonna say Cage from now on, but you says so Kill Bill question mark, yeah, basically Kill Bill. But here's the thing: I love revenge storylines. There's certain like story thread things that I love, even though if it's like it's the typical revenge thing. I love that stuff. I love horror movies. I love um, all that thing. So heck yeah. Poison Maniac says really just threw a wrench into Lewis's bucket as well. Yeah. Had to. Gen X says all the Sony games have a lame gimmick or some damn companion. Not I don't think maybe. I'm thinking. Last of Us had didn't have anything. Well, in Last of Us 2 they added some like some modes and stuff because they didn't want to add the dang multiplayer patch. So
Yeah.
they did add some crazy stuff to that one, but I don't know. I'll think about what you just said. um, Thatch said earlier, "Hey all, just caught up. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Christopher Dring late last year said he talked to some devs and they didn't know why they would and should release a game on Xbox. Man, yeah, I mean that's a whole other thing. I mean, I could have a whole topic about that and Christopher Dring and everything. We kind of ranted on him earlier, but what I will say is a lot of a lot of media like IGN, the GameSpots, the Insider Gaming, their most viewed articles. Like Sony is the most popular platform, right? Like a lot of people have PlayStation 5 and things like that. But so you would think that Sony would be the thing that people are looking up the most. And that is not true. The most things that people look up on all these sites, the IGNs, the GameSpots, is Xbox. They look up Xbox stuff on all these gaming sites. So it's kind of crazy that even with Xbox being in third place, that you would think like, oh, no one's paying attention, whatever. People pay attention more to Xbox stuff than Sony articles.
True.
That's just how it is. So when you see the Christopher Drings out there say stuff like I talk to devs and maybe you phrase it in a way like why do we want to put a game on it? I don't know who he talked to or anything like that, but it's just so weird to me to the way he phrases things sometimes, or the way a lot of these media sites will phrase things sometimes is always to spark conversation, right? To um, get the rage bait going and things like that, and some clickbait nonsense. Um, and just know, like we are here, me and Fuzz, like we go on these different shows, and we like to go on these shows because we like to talk to you guys. We like to talk about these games. We're gamers at the end of the day. We're super passionate about it. So that's where we are getting our our source, like our source, everything comes from that as a basis. Everything else, like you have some people out here for the reforges and all that where they are coming from a whole different basis of reality, um and it's usually coming from a more toxic place of really trying to get you guys attention and just really clickbaity and stuff like that. So I don't know. You're gonna see stuff like that all the time. It's unfortunate. Sometimes we'll mention it and whatever, but you know it is what it is. We have Lewis. This is the comment I think he's been trying to get me to read for a minute. Speaking of adaptions, are you guys fine with adaptions not being connected with game series? Because personally, I'm fine with it as long as they understand the themes of the series. This question is to 3-Bit and Fuzzy. What do you think about that, Fuzz?
Uh, I think it depends on the type of show. Like if it's a sci-fi, I think the adaptation should at least work within that universe. It doesn't have to be a one for one, but it should be like, okay, the game had this many characters and they're either legends in this story or this is the before they became legends type of story. I would like to see more of that, at least for sci-fi. But like perfect example for something that's not really sci-fi, like The Division. If that became a series, because the game kind of is a group of agents during the first and second and third wave or whatever kind of deal. um I wouldn't mind it being, it has all of the same rules of the how the world works, but it doesn't have to be tied directly to the game. It could be, how people found cures to the money flu, or it could be from the side of the cleaners or something like that. Like I think something like The Division is one that it could stand away or stand aside from the show or stand aside from the game and have some success. But like if you're making a Starfield, even though you're the main character, I think if you're making a Starfield TV series, you still need to have the Crimson Fleet, because they need to be causing havoc on some planets and stealing people's stuff. You need the Eclipse, or I forget what they're called. It's the something like Eclipse or the Elite or whatever, that are almost like the Crimson Fleet, but not true pirates. They're the ones that have like the mainly metal stuff, and they were like police on that one island where you do that
Mm-hmm.
run through, like where there's demons, well not demons, but like some sort of like polar bear things or whatever.
Yep.
Um, have at least some of those factions in it, um, even if it doesn't tie directly to our said character in the game, joining the UC or something like that, or whatever the case may be. But adaptations being separate from the game is okay, but sci-fi, I kind of want it to tie in. That's just me though.
Yeah. I agree. Like, I do love it when you can really absorb a a series. Like, let's just say you really fall in love with a sci-fi show, like a Star Wars or something. There's so many different things to build upon that world when you have different adaptations of it. Like, if you have a book and then you read in a book, like that, oh, this character hates starbursts. This is an example. This character hates starbursts, and then you watch the movie and just you don't have to read the book, but then in the movie they mention like it's like, what is that you're eating? And then they're eating a starburst, and it's like a small moment, but just stuff like that can really make you feel really connected to the world. I know that was a weird example, but that's just gonna have a starburst over here, and I was about to eat it. Um, so like there are different situations like Halo, I think, where they tried that for a minute. A lot of the books are connected to the games, and then they had the Halo TV show, not the Master Cheeks one. They had another TV show where it was really connected, and it was like this is canon and things like that. Um, and then they went and made the new show not connected at all, and saying it was a whole different world. It's like I in my brain I I don't disassociate from it a little bit, but I have different expectations as a whole. I'm like, oh well, like you get a little bit disappointed when things aren't always connected to something. But yeah, I love all sorts of adaptations, books, movies, cross media stuff. Um, and I'm fine with it being connected. Like if you're talking about like books to games, because you said not being connected with the game series. Um, I'm fine with it being not being connected. I'll just be a little bit disappointed. Um, let me skip to some certain things. Lewis says, "I know we try to keep the show away from, but with how gaming being mainstream, some conversations will be brought. So apologies. I'll talk about anything. Like I'm fine with bringing up the Christopher Dreams and the toxic people and stuff like that. I just like to just remind you guys like the basis of what like the conversation that we have always comes from a place of like we are nerds, we love gaming, and that's what it should be about. Or like occasionally things will bug me, so I'll be like, listen, y'all, let me side chat with y'all for a second because maybe I'll see it constantly pop up as a talking point, or maybe if I feel like someone is missing something in a conversation, we'll bring up. Um, but yeah, it would always come from that place. We have. I'm trying to read all your guys comments. Gen X says it's like God of War Ragnarok. The Assassin's Creed DLC all over again. A couple of you guys brought up that this looks like DLC. I I don't know. Like the visuals, I think looks the same, and again, to me, it looks worse in some spaces. But I really have to replay Tsushima to kind of verify that. Um, to me, there's certain areas I'm like, that looks a little rough. But they kind of make again, they kind of make up for it because they have like leaves, kind of like, ooh, but be distracted by this, like, ooh, so you do get distracted by that. And when you're playing the game, as long as it is impactful, like it plays well, kind of like Tsushima, and it's fun, then all that other stuff is like whatever. It's kind of like Digital Foundry, where I find Digital Foundry is pretty toxic, in my opinion. Is like they'll compare like certain sections of stuff you may never actually experience in the game or really care for. Like, it'd be like, in this one section of the game, the frame rate dropped on the Xbox, but on the PS5, it stayed the same. And people are like, oh, see, Xbox is trash. And you get into this whole conversation. I'm just like, it was one section of the game that you may not ever even can tell the difference. And it's just, I don't know. It's a whole other
Yeah.
conversation. But
Yeah. Digital Foundry, I won't say they are part of the problem with gaming, but they do create problems. And I'll
yeah,
give you two key examples. No one complained about Hi-Fi Rush Shadows until they pointed out that the shadows look better on PS5 for whatever reason. No one. No one was worrying about a shadow in Hi-Fi Rush.
yep,
Show me one person that made any mention of it for prior to, Digital Foundry. And then two, sometimes they get stuff wrong. And I called Dark One or whatever his Twitter handle is out about it. He said that there's like no frame drops in GT7 except for when it rains. I'm like, that's BS because you play like a noob. You drive against cars with no paint schemes. They just have regular paint. Go to Daytona, put paint schemes on all the cars. Frame drops are a son of a bitch on the
yep.
back straightaway
Mhm.
and, the back loop. And there's other places where frame drops, but it's like if you just play the game like a non-enthusiast, you're just, oh, I'll just drive regular painted cars around a racetrack, no numbers on them because nobody does that in real life. Typically, you have to put a number on a car when it goes on the track so they keep score of your time and so forth, or tell you, hey, number three, get off the track because your air conditioning's running and leaking water on the track or something stupid. But only people that actually race their cars know that. But
Yeah.
oh, there's no frame drops. Yes, there are. Look at my replays. Look at any one of them and show that they're not a frame drop when you follow behind, 10 cars with paint schemes and the other 10 are behind you. But, that's, yeah, like you said, they cherry pick stuff and then they get, fans on either side riled up about frame drops or this visual or that visual. And then the ones that probably argue the loudest most of the time are the ones that aren't even playing the games. Like
Yep.
it's like, you see what you did? Instead of saying, hey, this game is enjoyable, yeah, they probably should, patch this and this, or hey, reach out to the manufacturers and say, hey, can you fix this? No, they're not doing that. They're like, it drops in this very, very narrow scenario where it's raining and your character's wearing an overcoat and they got shades on and they're pointing the gun, down sights, and now the frame drop. Like, really? Like, do better.
It is
That's all I'm
crazy
gonna
because
say.
like you could tell they're very selective about it because most PS5 games have like a lower resolution than Xbox games. But they'll focus they'll mention that for like 5 seconds, like and PS5 is a lower resolution. But look at this frame rate. It would be like a split second, and it's just crazy to me. It's kind of toxic.
Yeah.
Poison says cultural and political stuff is not needed or wanted. Gamers just want to enjoy good games. I guess he was saying that because some people was mentioning um, some things with the main character, or they
Yeah.
wanted Jin or something like that.
Well,
Um,
I totally understand the ones that wanted Jin, and
mhm.
maybe they'll learn after this to bring it back to Jin. Or maybe the third one is a totally different character. Whatever the case is, um, I think Cajun made mention it's like sometimes it feels like they uglify the characters for no
Mm,
apparent reason other than it fits their game to some extent. Like I think one of the examples he gave was the girl that played in what is it, Outlaws. The real life
okay.
woman looks better than the character in the game. Now, granted, if you're playing it on PC with all the bells and whistles, she still looks good. When you're playing it on, even I wouldn't say on the Series X as much, but like, I guess if you're doing performance mode and you're playing it on PS5 or your Series S, the soft lines look a little harder and it just doesn't come across as well. Like her freckles look more like bruises or something.
A little
So,
blurry.
but that's it. It felt like they didn't put as much attention to detail into the character. But then again, it could have been, an engine issue. Although the Snowdrop engine's pretty cool, but then again, I look at the Division characters, not the stuff that they're wearing, their faces, and they're not always the greatest. Even though the rest of the environment for Snowdrop is on point, so it could be a bit of that, or it could be that somebody was like, "Yeah, we got to ugly her up a little bit, make these freckles into like a bruise or something." But like it is weird sometimes how what the actual model looks like versus the character in the game looks like can be two different things. But that's why I like PC because you can mod that out.
Yeah, true.
And no, I'm not a gooner. I'm not buying Stellar Blade to
No
like
mods.
I haven't bought Stellar Blade yet, but I'm like, man, I see some of the videos that people are making. It's like when they make the boobs bigger than half, like it's smaller than a small child, like two
Yeah.
small children. You got to stop. You got to stop. Like you should put that creativity into better things. Like I could
Mm,
see if it was like what was that volleyball game or the
Dead or
fighting game,
alive.
Dead or Alive? Yeah.
That's literally what I was about to bring up. Because
Save it for something like that,
yeah,
like jiggle physics or something. But like, come on, Stellar Blade. Like, how are you fighting people and they're going all that? You can't have
so it's
jiggle
going through the
physics in the middle of a
swords and
fight with a sword because she'd be cutting her own stuff off. No, you got to stop. You got to stop.
you say
I
there's
know I
a
got a
you
sidetrack.
got a goon like rating. It can only go so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's funny. There used to be uh like a jiggle physics mode something on Dead or Alive. It was like two or something like that. I don't know how that wouldn't fly today. In terms of like imagine when Stellar Blade comes out, you could adjust the jiggle physics and stuff that game would get chastised in the media
But that
nowadays.
game would have sold more than a million copies.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, probably,
PS5
yeah.
would have sold 5 million copies. No, it would have been like they have 77 million out there. It would have sold 50 million copies.
How many PS5s do they have? Yeah, most of those. But no, I do think there's certain games where they do uglify the characters. I do see that sometimes, especially if they look worse than the actor. But it doesn't bother me too much because it's like if that was your vision for the character, like
Yeah.
it's kind of like if the director is doing like this is his vision for a project and this is what he wanted and this is what he intended, then cool, I guess that this is your vision. I'm not going to tell you how to make your game, your baby or whatever, but
Mhm.
um it is what it is. It doesn't bother me too much. I know some people really get into the weeds, like, look, why does this girl have face hair and stuff like that. I honestly don't really care. I do like my characters to look somewhat attractive, and I'm gonna spend hours with them all the time. But this is they don't have to be. I could play an ugly character too. I played Phasmophobia yesterday, and those characters they look scary. They are scary looking. They need some Vaseline. They need some oil in their hair or something. They just need some help. Over there. So I don't know. It doesn't bother me too much.
Mhm.
Um, We got Posing Maniac say I never understood why wanting eye appealing characters like Ghost of Yotei. Yeah, so it's whatever to me.
Yeah.
Jay Rember says hit that like button, people. Yeah, shout out to you, Jay Rember dropping on in. What else we got? Gaz's take nailed it. I think he was talking about Ghost of Yotei. I think I seen that video. He was talking about what he thought about like Jin not being the main character and things like that. I don't remember exactly what his take was, but I probably have a similar take. If this was it, Jin's story, I haven't beat the game, but from what I heard, and Fuzzy could clarify this, from what I heard is it feels like a complete experience already. Like you beat the game. There's also the DLC clarifying his background a little bit. It's like a prequel. So his story is kind of done. So now it's just like a new person story. So I'm fine with that. If that's how, I don't know how the first game ended. If it really was a complete experience, or like if his story felt complete, and you're just like that's the end, to just then have a sequel where you add him back in. I mean, you can do that, but if it feels like it ended, then it makes sense to focus on a new person.
Yeah. I honestly think we'll get some tidbits about his story in this game. Now, will we be able to play as him? Unfortunately, no. I doubt we'll be able to play as him. But I do think there will be something in the history line or some of the story stuff that you find. I would nearly bet because it does seem weird that the one guy came to the campfire and was like, I there's this mask that's been cursed with this, unpredictable stuff and blah blah blah. And it's like it's probably Jin's mask or something relating to Jin or something along those lines, like one of the masks that he may have worn or that you could have acquired in the game.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised, but like I, his story is kind of complete. I didn't, like I said, I didn't finish Iki Island, but you do have to make a major choice at the end of Ghost of Tsushima, and you'll either get the white armor or the red armor. I got the red armor. And in samurai speak, that means my life as a samurai is done. So I made what would be the less honorable choice.
yeah,
But, I think a lot of people probably would have a hard time making the honorable choice, if you were to put yourself in Jin's shoes, given the
like you're this guy.
situation.
Yeah,
I don't want to spoil it, but it's like I'm happy with my choice.
yeah,
If I got the white armor, yeah, I guess I would be yeah. Anyway,
yeah. No, no, it's all
get
good.
to that armor point if you haven't already, and I think that's why they moved on, and it's like 100 years or so, or a couple of hundred years later. So yeah, I think they're trying this, and if I guess if this doesn't sell, then we will see more about Jin, but he'll probably be a shinobi at that point as opposed to a samurai, depending if they make the red armor canon. We'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah. I know Sucker Punch. They made the Infamous games,
Hmm.
right? Um, I like how they handled it there, where I mean they kind of chose a path for the next game. They're like, okay, well, we can't do multiple um versions of based on how the last game ended, but we'll kind of choose one to kind of insinuate the other one, and then kind of lead with Infamous 2. Um, so I wonder if they're gonna do a thing where it's like they take your save file, and maybe based on that ending, maybe they'll you'll get like a hint of what happened to Jin, or I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, you're gonna get some controversy with. We had a long conversation about it. If you guys go watch the Assassin's Creed Shadows episode, we talked about like how the industry kind of perceives a lot of this controversy with like people, and how a lot of people didn't like the black samurai being Yasuke and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, it's like to me, I don't care to that extent to go and be like, I'm gonna start boycotting the game for having a black samurai. Like, I don't know. That's a whole other conversation. I'm not gonna get too much into it, but it doesn't matter to me to that extent. A couple more, and then we're gonna get on out of here, y'all. Cage was saying I don't need goon, but people like attractive. If I'm a male character, I want him badass looking. Yeah, I mean I understand that, right? If you're playing a game, especially if you like you you're going to be spending hours and hours with this character for a while. Yeah, it makes sense why you want them to be attractive. I mean, they hire people in movies who can't act, but they are super attractive, and so they're gonna get butts in the seat, because they are attractive, aka Megan Fox example. Um, so it makes sense for games as well. Laura was perfectly fine in newer game. You guys talk about Laura. Yeah, all the things. But appreciate you guys for dropping on in. My last thoughts on Ghosts of Yotei is I'm looking forward to it. I do want to make sure and play the first one before I buy this one, so I'm probably not going to buy it day one. What Fuzzy kind of mentioned when he said he's going to buy the PS5 version, I will say, Fuzz, when you buy PS5 games going forward on a PC, that means eventually you could probably play it on Xbox.
Yeah.
Wherever they're gonna take the next console and stuff. But at the same time, I understand double dipping. I do it quite a bit for different games. Probably gonna do it with GTA 6. GTA 6 is a game I'm probably going to double dip because the way they
Mm.
set it up, they freaking do this on purpose. They make it so you buy it once and then they're like, okay, well, here's the PC version. And like, dang. But I appreciate everyone for jumping on in. Let me go ahead and go here. Let me move your camera a bit for this. I don't know what's happening to your camera. There you go. No, I appreciate
Mhm.
everybody for dropping on in. This is episode 44. We've made it to 44. This is still season one. If you guys like this episode, be sure to hit that like, subscribe button, all the things. I think season one we'll probably do 100 episodes. Will be season one, and then once 100 episodes are complete, we're gonna get a whole new intro. Me and Fuzzy are gonna do something like crazy in the intro. If you guys have seen like he's driving through people, and I'm samurai slicing zombies. If you guys have ideas for what we should do in the intro for the next one, let me know and I'll animate it. I had some ideas like maybe um what I do is I add like guest characters for let's say Mav jumps on the show like in the intro, maybe all of a sudden it's like a player joins, something like that could be fun. And then I just like program it kind of so it's dependent on who joins. But yeah, just put in some ideas. But no, I appreciate everyone for dropping on in this episode. It's gonna be a wrap for episode 44 of Pixelated Echoes. If you like what you heard, be sure to smash that like button. Fuzzy, please tell people where they can find you and what you got going on social media, man.
Oh, as always, love doing this. So glad to be here with you today. And everybody that came out, showed us support. Greatly appreciate you guys coming out. Don't forget, hit that like button if you haven't already, and please subscribe. We greatly appreciate the support. For those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, you can just do a search for Fuzzy Belvedere. You'll be able to find me on pretty much all social media except for Facebook. But play some games. Try not to fall for the doom scroll with the Christopher Drings of the world and stuff. Just enjoy the games because there's still plenty of them coming out, and I need to download Tony Hawk because I'm
Oh
falling
yeah.
behind. That backlog is starting to pile up again, so I got to get to it.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I I forgot that game is coming. I do want to play as the Doomslayer, but then I gotta buy the thing. I'll think about it. Think about it. Um, and Spartan661 mentions like the Xbox Fusion as his Xbox naming. I think he said earlier
Mhm.
in the chat. I was going to mention it. My brain, when you guys start flooding in the chat, I'm like, oh, who do I focus in on? But I do try to get to everybody in the chat. So if I miss anybody, my bad. But I appreciate you guys for showing up. Xbox Fusion, I think he said in the fun speculation. That could be a really cool name
Yeah,
for sure. I still like the Prime name. Like if they actually go with Prime, that could be cool. But I know there's a Prime drink. There's Optimus Prime.
yeah.
I don't know. But the
They'll
Fusion
they'll
is
go
true.
completely left field. They'll be like the X300. Wait,
Yep.
what? Why is it 300? Why?
Like don't worry about
What?
it. The Xbox's name sometimes. Like I get used to it over time, but I thought the
Mhm.
360 was a freaking weird name at the time. I'm like 360? Like what? Like you turn around then you walk away? Like what do you mean 360? And then they did Xbox One, which would make sense
Now, yeah.
now if it was called Xbox One. But I digress, y'all. We'll see what they end up naming it. I do like Fusion. Guys, congrats on 500 subs. Did we make it? Let's see.
That
I
would be awesome. Thank you.
gotta refresh. Yeah. Shout out to the people subscribing, getting us to 500. I want to do fancy emojis and stuff like that. I think you don't get that till 1,000, maybe, or maybe it's 500. I don't know. But we're almost there. So appreciate everyone for subbing at each and every show. You guys could find me on Blue Sky at i3bit and everything. And then we are doing the show every Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Stay tuned. Mav is doing his shows on Thursdays. I think he took a little bit of a break, but I think this Thursday he might be doing a show. So if you want to see us throughout the week, check out the Thursday show on the Fun Speculation channel. And stay tuned. So as always, if you guys agree with us or not, let us know in the comment section down below. And we'll be back next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. See y'all.
Later.